All right, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Rough Sketch of Final Draft. I am your host, Coach Adam, and we are getting into an amazing topic about entrepreneurship and business. And we are again welcomed by an incredible guest as a return guest from season 2. So I'll pass it off to my amazing guest to introduce himself for the audience who doesn't know him and for the audience who is going to get to know him.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Justin, and I'm the owner of a clothing brand called Modusimo. I was here for season 1, and I'm very happy and honored that Adam accepted me as a guest for season 2. So I'm very excited to have another session and hopefully another talk with psychotherapy and hopefully say some truth to each other and walk out learning something new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm honored to be able to have incredible guests on this show where we get a chance again to peel back the layers, take away the titles and everything else that we accumulate in this life. At the same time, I also want to respect and acknowledge these titles that we actually do accumulate in our worlds. And you are a CEO of your own business. You are a business entrepreneur. You are the builder and designer of your own brand and your own company. And I think that that is something to genuinely look up to in so many aspects in this world, for so many out there getting a chance to stretch their legs and grow in this life. And you have something to say. So I think in that sense, for today, as we jump into the idea about entrepreneurship and business, what are some of the things that you see that are things to avoid as we start to get into this idea of entrepreneurship out there in the modern era of today?
Man, honestly, when it comes down to it, I think that just starting out something in general is very hard, especially when it comes to today's world when you got like social media and everybody's trying to be something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's a lot of pitfalls that you could first fall into, and they're more mental than they are more materialistic and physical. If you were to start something from the top, from the start, and your mindset is already tarnished to just kind of screwing everybody over for your own benefit, or if you just have that mental capacity of I'm better than everybody, it's a lot harder to confuse confidence with arrogance. So I think that's one of the biggest pitfalls in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of stray away from that. But there's also obviously a lot of materialistic pitfalls you can go into, like don't buy the G-Wagon your first year of business when you're only making like 20K a year, like don't do those types of mistakes.
Avoid those pitfalls. Yeah. What would you say is the fact of maybe to keep a guiding rail for individuals who are going to be starting and looking into things? Would it be important to kind of suggest finding out their why on why they want to do it, to keep them a little bit more grounded, a little bit more honest, and a little bit more authentic in what they're going to pursue in whatever endeavor? Because entrepreneurship goes in so many different ways. So find out that why first.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the why is important and what you do for sure, but it's more so who you kind of do it for. If you're doing it to help out your family, help out your friends, or building the community, I think those are very important as well. However, when it comes down to it, you kind of have to materialize it to the point of it making sense, everything making sense to if you just start on, I don't know how to say it. If you just start without knowing what you're doing, I'm sure you can figure it out along the way, but it'll be a lot harder to do once you've already established the foundation and people already follow you for a reason.
Yeah.
And they end up finding out, what is this guy doing? Kind of like what just happened right now.
Sure. Yeah. You figure it as you go. No, it's organic, right? You just,
Yeah.
You go and you grow as you flow. So, and sometimes in that truest sense, if we don't know what we don't know, that can be a hindrance, right? Though also as an entrepreneurial, spirited individual out there in the world, I've owned a couple franchises in my life, and business is not new to me. And I consult with individuals in a professional sense on a regular basis with business. Is that sometimes it's also making sense to not be limited by other people's limited perceptions of your dream as well. I find that to be highly, highly important in life, because we can certainly always look at ourselves and reflect, and that's the most important thing to do. On, I don't know what I don't know yet, and I need to learn. At the same time, we need to cultivate that power circle around ourselves that actually has the ability to see more in us than maybe we see in ourselves. Otherwise, we can fall privy to that fact that we'll actually be held back by other people's limited views of what we can do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, honestly, when it comes down to like just working with other people and like the views of what people have on you, you're never going to be there to please everybody at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to sit down and everybody's going to shake your hand and say thank you for your service. Like, you're not, someone's always going to be on the other side just not agreeing with you. But I think as long as you focus on the people that have an actual positive image on you and are willing to work with you and help you and motivate you, I think that kind of matters more. Granted, don't shut out the people that may be giving you constructive criticism at the end of the day. If they're telling you like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, maybe you should be doing this instead, just as a consideration.
Yeah.
You shouldn't shut them out, because then you fall into the, arrogance pitfall that you act like you know everything when you really don't. But wherever you are in life, you're going to need collaboration with multiple people. There's just no way that you're going to be able to get very far in life unless you're very lucky without just by yourself. You're going to need to be able to work with a lot of people and be open-minded enough to accept different points of views.
Amen. Amen to that. And truly, again, for anyone who's a new listener, anyone who's a repeat listener all the way since season 1, since the episode 1 that kicked this whole entire channel off with the amazing Lulu Lee. And, just throwing this out there as a precursor that she will be returning for season 3. So that's actually kind of exciting to anyone that actually loves that amazing, amazing woman. We have always held it on this channel and in this community of the Coach Adam and the Rough Sketch of Final Draft that we certainly don't know everything in that truest sense. So we're coming at all of life aspects, having great questions and being able to peel back the layers of our ego and just leave those things behind, set fire to the rain, in that regard, and leave those in the past. And be our most authentic, vulnerable, humble selves in the truest sense of actually asking these questions. Hence the reason why we have this episode, these conversations of life is a rough sketch to a final draft. Not that we're coming at it from expertise in that regard, shouting from the mountains in some sort of school of greatness kind of way. We're looking at this from the standpoint of we're working on it. It's a Sisyphusian type of progress where you're pushing the rock uphill every single day, trying to figure it out as you go and grow. And we're doing our best to have authentic conversations with amazing individuals such as yourself, Justin, who have done things and have learned things and have gone over their challenges and are still going through challenges. But it's how we go through those things that we usually find the majesty and the grace in life that others who are listening get a chance to hear in their journey, and they hear it about themselves too. And again, I just would say also, what would you even say as far as it goes for having some of the journeys that you've had? Would you do what you've done already? Would you do it again the same way, or would you do it differently if you had to do it over again?
I think that, well, first of all, I'm very excited to see what happens in the future of this podcast, and I can't wait to be able to be on the show with many other guests. That's going to be very exciting to see. Absolutely. I can't wait to be a part of that. But when it comes down to like where it all started and would I go back and do it over again?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I would do over. Well, if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be here right now. Like all the experiences and everything that I kind of learned. But now when I look back at it a year later, I guess I could say, when I look back at like, why did I even do that? Like I could have saved money and time just not doing that. But now a year and a half, maybe almost a year and a half later with this brand, and I'm literally on these t-shirts, my 13th supplier. Did I really need to go through 13 suppliers to find a shirt brand? Not really. I probably could have settled out with my third or fourth one. It's just those sort of little experiences that led me up to where I am today. I look back on and I'm just like, I shouldn't have done that. But if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have the knowledge about that certain type of garment if I didn't do that, if I didn't take the leap.
Yeah.
But what I would say personally, what's more important than all those kind of experiences is not really losing yourself in the balance of life. What I've kind of noticed with the trend of at least like younger people that are trying to be entrepreneurs and, retire by their early 30s, late 20s, and like all these crazy yachts and whatnot, supercars they see on social media. Like, yes, there are going to be a few people in the world that are our age, well, my age, that will be doing those sorts of things. But for the other 99% of us, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Maybe if ever, that
Yeah.
in life, that's the reality of it. But what I think is important, that when you start anything, like let's say you want to start your business, or start a coffee shop,
Mm.
clothing brand, your own gym, anything it may lead up to, I think it's important that you still live your life, still have a balance of, hey, if my friends want to take this road trip out, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
Granted, yeah, you're going to think about it like, oh, I could use this money for my clothing or my business, or I could use it for marketing. I could use it for new designs, whatever it may be. But you can't put a price on memories, and no amount of money will buy time. There's just no way you could have that. So I think people in their 20s, you could chase your future and still be successful and make all the money in the world that you would ever want, but you should still also have time put away for your friends and your family, so that you're not just some depressed robot that's only working for the intrinsic value of money and stuff like that.
Right.
You should be able to have a balance of, going out with your friends here and there. Not obviously, like I said, balance.
Yeah.
I think internally you would be able to tell if you're kind of veering off towards one end or the other.
Yeah.
Internally, your body will tell you, hey, I'm kind of stressed out. Just go towards the other balance, you know?
Yeah.
But what I tell all my friends, that once they choose to start something, and it's really easy to fall into that mindset of, I need to be a millionaire. I need to make all this money in the world. Wow, I can't sleep. I can't work. I need to do this and this. What I try to tell them is like, hey man, like if you just do one task that could better your chances of reaching your goal, just one task a day, you're good, bro. Like you're not, what you're trying to do right now is you're in a race with yourself to be a millionaire yesterday. And that's what I kind of tell all of my friends. And after I say that, they kind of like step back, like, you can't be a millionaire yesterday. I'm like, exactly. And you're not going to be a millionaire tomorrow. So just work towards it slow and steady, but keep your sanity, because you could be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, all working to be a millionaire. And then once you get to your 40s or 50s and become a millionaire, you're going to look back and say, wow, I wish I was 20 again.
Right. And you don't get that time back. As we all know, the proverbial, clock is always ticking. The sun does rise the next day, whether or not we're a part of that whole entire experience or not. So I'm with you. And for the audience out there, if anyone is, looking to grow yourself, certainly understanding that time is always present is something to always keep in mind, because it is something to, we think in that regard as we're talking about entrepreneurship and work and just the 9 to 5 grind, and the idea, but also getting out of that with the idea of entrepreneurship is becoming your own boss, your own master. This boss culture that we have kind of building up around us in the modern sense of the Western culture is the idea that we think that we have, spare time. We think that we have part-time kind of things and everything else like that we have party time. And the real thing, we just have time, right? That's just, we have time. Coming from a leadership standpoint, coming from a coaching standpoint, coming from an entrepreneurial standpoint, anyone that's listening, we have time. It's up to you how you want to use it. You can either use it productively, you can either use it unproactively, you can use it to build your dreams, or you can help build other people's dreams. There's nothing wrong with the way that we use it, but time is always being able to be used, and will always be using a portion of you while we're here. It's just the exchange rate. It's just the way that it goes. And it's time in for time out. And I was thinking about the fact with how you had painted the point of how fulfillment in this life is what we should be striving for. I think that we talked about it in our previous conversation, but I'll reiterate it here for this episode as well, that the flex back in the 80s, the 90s, the 60s used to be about wealth and these big purchases. We mentioned it a little bit right now, but these yachts, these Maseratis, the Ferraris, how many do you have? The mansions, right? Your house in the Hamptons and the house in France and everything else like that. Nowadays, the real big flex is the time. How much free time do you have, right? How many things can you have on autopilot to where you have enough money to where you have the time to be able to enjoy it with your life? And that's a mindset shift, because you can get into the groove of, I value life because I want to spend the time that I have in my life with those that I love. And that's what I think that is resonating with what you had just shared. I think that's absolutely pivotal for anyone who's thinking about business on why they're going to get involved into it, is to also be able to remember to live it while you're 20, not trying to live that you're 20 when you're 60. Um, and I think that it's a big thing there. So what else have you got more to add on to that? I feel like there's more that you want to say on that.
Yeah, of course. There's I always got more. The
I
way I
see.
see life
Yeah,
is like a really long, yeah, right. It's like a super long oval yin and yang.
yeah,
Um, Everybody knows what the yin and yang is,
yeah,
black, white, and there's like a line in the middle. Well, where you kind of want to be at is in the middle. Let's
mm,
say the lighter side is order and everything in your life is going well, and then the darker side is chaos and everything that's going wrong in your life. And in the middle there's a little squiggly line that kind of dips into both ends and kind
yeah,
of tries to stay right in the middle of it. And I think that's kind of like how you should try to live your life,
mm,
which most people kind of do subconsciously anyways. But once
yeah,
you realize it and materialize it, you kind of start to make more sense of it. But anytime you see your life going way too far into order, then you're like, okay, well, life is kind of getting boring. Something's not, it's not really
yeah,
interesting. Then something bad happens. You're like, okay, now this is interesting. And now I need more order in my life. I need to get my life back into order. And then you start straying it right into the middle.
yeah,
And that's where I kind of see life as just like a super long oval yin and yang that consistently dips between chaos and order and just goes back and forth. As long
mm,
as you try to stay in the middle of it all, that's kind of the goal, right? You don't want your entire life in chaos, and you don't want everything to be orderly, because
yeah,
then you won't have any experiences that could shape you into potentially growing into a better person.
yeah. I agree. The too much order is too rigid. There's no life that happens there. Nothing flows, right? There's philosophers since Rene Descartes and even Rousseau was quoted saying in the fact that God doesn't draw with straight lines, and of course God in the proverbial universal sense, in the regard that everything in this entire universe is rounded, it's shapely, it's curved, right? So like anything that's too rigid, that's human. That's something that's done in that regard. Life is an ebb and flow, and the universe goes and grows. That's how it actually flows. And when life starts to get too rigid, that's when you know you're hitting a brick wall. So you got to get back to it. But then obviously ultimate chaos, when it's just completely amorphous without any structure at all, then you can't tell the difference between the different colors, the variations of the plant, so that you need to have separations of some kind. So that makes sense. As we look at life and as we think about business, and as we kind of circle back to the fact of whether or not you would do anything different, what kind of advice would you give for individuals who might be listening, obviously, who would be inspired by you as well, who are young and up and coming and want to maybe follow in your footsteps? Is there something that you would recommend for them to do as well in the clothing fitness line? Would you choose fitness? Would you choose a different type of industry? Any type of industry as far as it goes for entrepreneurship? What have you got to say on that?
Definitely anything that anybody wants to start out, please do your due diligence and research everything. Start
Yeah.
benchmarking where you want to be with the top players of your game, even the mid players of your game, brands that could be coming up, businesses that could be in the same league as you,
Yeah.
because chances are every industry that you try to get into these days is oversaturated.
Mm.
So I'm not going to sit here and tell you what every other business book tells you, differentiate and lower your prices and do your marketing differently so you stick out. Yeah, of course, those are all going to have to play into it.
Yeah.
But as long as you do your research and you have something that you truly believe will work, and truthful friends that you have will tell you it will work and they believe in it with you,
Yeah.
then that's all you have. That's all you need, really. As long as you believe in the vision, you consistently work on it, and you have a bigger picture, bigger view of where you want to be, you're going to get there sooner than you think. It's only
Mm.
been a year and a half about since I started my brand, and as of right now, we're number one as far as I know for fitness clothing brands in Modesto, which
Yeah.
is super awesome. Not that this city's super big, but it's like this is still something crazy that I never would have
Yeah.
imagined.
Yeah.
But as long as you stay consistent with it and you have a grand vision for it, not thinking about where I'm going to be at in the next month, but more so where I'm going to be at in the next 10 years,
Yeah.
That's something to look, chase towards, I guess you could say, to look forward to.
Yeah.
um, Kind of the mentality focus that you want to have. Obviously, there's also financials that are involved. Make sure you pay off any of your crazy debts. Live within your means while you first start. Like I
Yeah.
said, please, for the love of God, do not get a G-Wagon or like some crazy car or something like a house when you're first starting and you're not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Don't try to flex. just stay down until you're up. Fake it.
Yeah.
Don't fake it till you make it. Just stay true to the course
Mm.
and have your credits lined up. Start working with banks that could potentially give you loans for low interest rates.
Yeah.
It's a little harder again when you first start. That was the mental side, financial side. Now, actual business side.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your LLC or sole prop or whichever you choose.
Mm.
Make sure you get your DBA because you're going to need that to start your bank account.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. Just those are the first few steps. Trademark and copyright, you could get down the line. You could get it immediately if you would like. But again, that's until it gets to the point where people know what you are and who you are, it might take a while. So copyright, trademark, not really, in my opinion, when you first start, a super important thing. Granted, you might disagree. You might say protect yourself from the start, but that's kind of
Yeah.
my take on that.
But yeah, from my legal background in that regard, I would definitely suggest that anyone lock it down. Absolutely. And I think that what you're saying though is truly fundamentally sound and absolutely some of the best advice that you can say, because obviously some of the best predictors that we can have in business in the truest sense, when we think about like how is it really going to go, it's a pitfall. It's a coin toss. It's a roll the dice. There's not a lot of actual ways to genuinely guarantee how it's going to turn out. Though I obviously, while we're talking about business and entrepreneurship, there's got to be a little bit of etiquette that it comes into the fact that one of the best predictors, the precursors to making the future happen the way that you're actually wanting it to go, is that you predict it by creating it. And that's one of the things that I've always respected and appreciated about any entrepreneur anywhere that I've ever came in contact with, or the ones that we've ever heard of. Having the opportunity to meet you and have this incredible connection and this conversation that we keep having again and again about growth is amazing. I appreciate and respect you so much because you've seen your future and you went after it and wanted to create it. And you won't stop until it becomes the version that you want it to be. So I think that some of the advice that we can definitely give anecdotally to anyone who's listening is the fact that no matter what it is, whatever field you're in, go after it. And the best predictors for your business for the future, the precursors for that, is that you are going to make sure that you create it the way you want it to. That's actually the genuine thing. If you want to start your Etsy business, go for it. You want to become an esthetician and open up your own practice, go for it. You're a hairstylist and you want to do it on your own, go for it, right? It could be fitness. It could be a clothing line. It could be something as intimate as doing hair and nails and makeup. These all make sense in it. Who knows where it's going to go and grow? I mean, speak to a little bit about that with the idea of where you want maybe some of what you're doing with the brand that you have. Where does that go as well? What are some of the bigger picture things that genesis ends up creating the snowball effect that creates success down the road? Where are you headed with this?
I guess I could break that down to like multiple separate parts, but
Yeah.
I guess the first part I could say is everybody that is kind of involved with me,
Yeah.
whether that's people that I would consider as influencers or just anybody in my circle that's kind of with me with this brand. So, granted, yes, I make all the final decisions when it comes down to packing and shipping orders. I'm the one that does all of them. I run the social media page, almost everything I kind of do on my own. But
Yeah.
there's no way that I would have made it this far without my circle of people that have been here with me. So,
Yeah.
like my designers and my photographers, my videographers. I can't be here without them because granted, there's only one camera that I have and there's only so much I could do.
Yeah.
So having, designers and editors and stuff like that and photographers and videographers, people that are creative in their own ways, that's, one people I look up to. The other people that I always like work with, I guess you could say, is potential ambassador or potential influencers, if you would say. Let's
Yeah.
say somebody sees my brand and they're like, oh, that's so cool. I've always wanted to start posting pictures and like have my fitness journey and whatnot. And I'm like, do it, please. Apply to be an ambassador. I will help motivate you to give you a reason to be more consistent on social media if it helps you, giving you a little 10% discount code you could put in and potentially make some commission off of it. If there's any way that this brand will help you do that, please do so. So, grand scheme of things, I definitely want anybody that that knows me and has worked with me to obviously come up with me. It's gonna, if I made it to, let's say, if you were to make it to the top and you're by yourself, you're just gonna get lonely. But if you're somewhere in the middle with all of the friends that came up with you, it's gonna be that much more satisfying knowing that, like, let's say one of my dreams is pulling up to my house with all of my friends driving their like dream cars. Like, if it was something like that, having a vision like that seems more fulfilling than being in your own little penthouse by yourself and just looking over the city. Like, we're not Batman here. So I guess that's what you could say is like my circle type. Obviously my family is gonna get taken care of, so I guess that we can just go over that because it's a given. Next is me personally, just grow and become the best vision as the person I could be. The way I try to approach anybody that I talk to, even if anybody outside of this speaks to me, if you look at me and I'm just out of it, I look dead, or if you see me in the gym and I'm just like staring off into space, I'm sorry. You could still approach me and talk to me, please. You could still talk to me. I may like look mean and angry, but I promise the moment you talk to me, it's just going to be smiles and laughs, and we're just going to have a great time. But anybody I talk to, at the end of it, I approach them with the mentality of they probably know something that I don't. And even if they don't know anything, I still take it into account and try to etch my own mindset and view into whatever they said and try to apply it to my life in a way. And then finally, the big dog, the brand. Where do I want the brand? I think I said this in the last episode too, but just millions of dollars, 100. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just getting the brand to where it's at, more known across the country. First things first, and then slowly open it up to international shipping and whatnot. From there, we'll try to take it into getting our first sponsored athletes. Any sort of athlete there is, powerlifting, bodybuilding, if you want to be a race car driver, anybody that could potentially see the vision of the brand, understand, okay, this is what I kind of stand for. This is dope. I like it, and I'm going to stick with it. It's anybody that has the same mindset as me. And then super down the road, maybe, like I said, 20, 10, 15, 30 years, however many years it takes, is to open up my own big gym and just have a crazy looking gym, hopefully in Vegas, fingers crossed, to just have everybody show up, just have a good time, lift, go crazy with the music, hold powerlifting meets, potentially hold bodybuilding meets if it's that big enough. But that's down the line. There's a rough vision that I know where like what my gym I want it to be, but that's the ultimate goal at the end of it. If I could like just walk into my gym and I have just working out, talk to my workers or whoever is there, and then hang out for the rest of the day, and then go work on the brand, like that would be the ultimate dream right there. Like nothing else I could ask for in the world.
You're going to achieve it. We're going to see you do it. We're going to make that dream a reality with you, Monabi. Absolutely. And I'll attest to it, circling back to through some of those points, is you were one of the most grounded, humble, down-to-earth individuals I think I've ever come across that is genuinely as a human being. I'll take a step back and also say that from an authentic standpoint, that as someone who's European, I'm always going to say something that is in connotations to a kindness in that regard. At the same time, I never mince my words. It's absolutely a truth, and I've seen it since I first met you, good sir. And I'm happy to have that on live recording for all time. You're one of the best souls that I've ever came across, and I attest to that. And certainly someone who has accomplished as much as you have, I think that you come across even incredibly more approachable than most out there who have been in your same exact trajectory that you are. At the same time, you come across as such a genuine soul, and it makes who you are and your brand and what you stand for so authentic and so awesome in that truest sense. And it really speaks volumes about your family and your community that you've created with yourself and those around you, that these are the types of individuals that you've cultivated. This is the type of person that you've cultivated yourself to be. And it's something that, again, originally was what brought us together in the first place. And now we get these opportunities to have these incredible conversations and chats for the audience to be able to benefit from. And who knows where this is all going to go. At the same time, I think that it's incredible to share the journey that you did just a moment ago, again, for the audience, to just reiterate it. That again, this t-shirt brand could lead up to the idea about sponsoring athletes on a national level, maybe even global one day. That also turns into the idea about turning into a franchisable gym that's going to be somewhere in a well-known location in the world. So just hold on to that, audience. Like, legitimately listen to that, fam, and realize that no matter what it is that you're starting with, it could end up becoming something huge. Like I was saying before, if you want to start hair and makeup and you ended up wanting to then get a salon, who knows if that salon doesn't end up becoming a franchisable salon that goes nationwide. Nationwide, that becomes nation well known, and it becomes a family home name. Like, things can happen, right? So in that sense, that's one of the reasons why I find your lineage and your trajectory, your story, your narrative so inspiring for others to be able to really be able to hear, because they can see themselves where they are with whatever dream that you might be having out there, audience. And you can see how far it could go, because you're going to make it grow the way you want to if you believe in that dream enough and you make it a reality. Justin is just a phenomenal example of this taking place for someone in their life. And yes, it is important that you have one of the best growing brands in the local Valley area. That is a big accomplishment. So I would say let's do this again. Let's tie it in with the fact of perception, right? Because I think that's a lot about it. What have you got to say about the perception of the entrepreneurial mindset? Because we always say mindset. What is it about the perception and the mindset of being about an entrepreneur that you think that is important for someone to be able to listen to?
I think that when it comes to the whole mindset of being an entrepreneur, if you go to any classes and take any entrepreneurship courses, or even if you read any entrepreneurship books, it kind of leads you into the mindset of you will be rich, you have to be rich, you have to kind of do anything for the money and whatever. But what I think is more important compared to, like, as we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes, so it's more important than just the intrinsic value of the dollar. It's more so having the hardened mindset of, hey, there, every month, every week isn't going to be what you expected. There's always going to be hurdles and obstacles. And what could define success isn't exactly hitting a sales goal, but more so defeating a challenging goal, and then internal goal, something that you face that you haven't faced before when it comes to starting your business or whatever it may be.
Right.
Figuring out how to do it and making sure it never happens again, and moving on from an obstacle or course. I think that in itself is, I guess you could say, more valuable. Obviously, you're going to need the money to keep going. Yeah, that's important. But
Sure.
if you don't grow as a person internally and externally, you're just not going to be able to make it very far in the whole entrepreneurship of your goals, I guess you could say.
It can really work against you. It's a mindset shift to even understand that we can achieve our millionaire status in that regard. And I think that's a thing to maybe take in for everyone who's listening in that regard, is the fact that there is a lack mindset and there is a mindset of prosperity. And a lack mindset, as an example, we can use just kind of an example for an analogy sense for people to visualize. Someone who's in a sales role, right? And most of the time when we think about entrepreneurs, we think about the idea that they're going to hustle. They're on the grind. They're doing it. They're making it happen. We see these Instagram reels, these YouTube videos of, someone jumping in the camera and saying, hey, I'm here to sell you something, buy my product, that kind of salesmanship. And the idea is that we are running on the treadmill. We're making sure that we're making those sales, but we're doing it from a position of lack, right? And in this analogy, this individual is now selling a product that is but they never sold a product that was even $100. And they finally get a customer who buys the product for $2. What happens is that individual's perception, their perspective of whether or not they were selling something that was high value, starts to adjust, because now they've sold 20 products at $2,000 a pop. Now the next index is they find customers that have $10,000 to spend. Well, just a moment ago, $2,000 was the ceiling. That's where that mental cap of their possibilities to make sales was out. And they were sitting there doing the math, as entrepreneurs do, and all of us do this to some extent of, I need to send and I need to sell, I need to make 20 sales to make this much money at $2,000 a sale. When now you're able to sell 2 products at 10, which used to be your old ceiling, now you only need to make 2 sales, not 20, to hit the same amount of money that you were trying to make from before. Your perception has grown. You understand that your ability to sell and the value of what you're selling is actually more valuable, and you've grown in your perceptions, and it keeps on growing. Our perceptions start off as a lack. We think that selling something at $200 is a lot, to make the point clear. And eventually you get to a spot where you can get to an area where you start finding that there are people out there in the world, Justin, as we know this, who are willing to spend $200,000 on a coaching seminar for a 3-day retreat. I mean, that's just, to me, when I learned that as well, that's incredible. That individuals have that kind of money, they'd be willing to spend that for a 3-day turnaround. But it's only in that perception of what we think at that particular time. It's what we don't know that we don't know. It's in our blind spots. Safe space out there, anyone that's in this position right now. And as you start to grow and believe more in yourself and your own dreams, you'll start to understand that the things that you want to achieve are achievable in the same exact way that sales progression went from thinking 200 was a lot, 2,000 now is not a lot, 10,000 is a lot. You'll think, my dream is hard. It's difficult. Now it's not as difficult. My bigger dreams are now more achievable. They become more believable. And that's the way that it keeps on continually growing. So I think, again, tying this whole entire conversation up with a bow, that's the point, is the fact that the perception allows your growth to take place for your life to move forward. So, and I can see that the wheels are turning. Jump in. What do you got?
100%, man.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, whenever you do anything, the only way that you can kind of benchmark against anybody is kind of yourself, looking at your own sales numbers, like what you said, looking at your own past, what your performance was in
Right.
the past compared to now. And as long as you're seeing just a gradual up and in the big perspective, you'll be
Yeah.
good, because whenever you zoom in into the weekly, monthly charts, there's going to be dips. But as long as you zoom out and you focus on the big vision of just the steady incline, steady jump, I think that you will not only grow as a person, but just business and, I guess you could say a lineage, whatever, if you choose to pass it down to anybody else. But
Yeah.
That's you pretty much hit it the nail right on the head, is what I would say.
So,
As long as you're taken care of mentally and physically, obviously take care of yourself physically and mentally. That is most important before everything else. You will make it as long as you stay consistent, work hard, and continue to open up your mindset to new things.
amen. Agreed. And I know that we're going to be wrapping it up here towards the end of the episode. I always love to pass it off to my amazing guest to kind of just bring us home with a topic and something that's important for you. Again, you're an amazing guest, as always, Justin. So what is on the docket to be able to chat about today before we wrap this one up?
I guess you could say this whole topic was about, right? The whole,
Yeah.
what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur in the era of today? There are so many things that could tie into what successful even means. You kind of have to define what successful is.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of settled in that as long as you are taken care of, your family is taken care of, your friends, your close friends are there with you to get you to that successful standpoint, and everybody is happy with where they're at. Obviously, don't settle. If you know yourself, you could be in a better place in life. Please chase that goal, But as long as you're there with the people that matter most, and you live your life to its fullest while chasing all of your dreams and goals, that's all that matters. That's what a lot of people could ask for, really.
That's right. That's right. The actual genuine fulfillment. And do you find that there's anything else more fulfilling than actually genuinely having, I'd say, those moments to share with others? Is there something more? I'm not actually saying this out of hyperbole. Is there something more valuable than that?
In the financial perspective, obviously, the money is important, but You strip away all the money, you strip away all of your materialistic things.
Yeah.
You can't put a dollar value on your memories and the time that you have with the people that are around you. There's no amount of money that could, go back and fix or change any of that, of what's happened in your life.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say, no, not really. As long as you're living your life with the people you love while chasing all of your goals simultaneously, I wouldn't say that there is any bigger, I guess, want or need other than the financials of it.
Amen.
I don't know.
Well,
What
now
do you
you.
think? What do you think about that?
I was going to say, Amen. You've now said it better than I could have. So, my words, your mouth. We're in perfect alignment, good sir. I always resonate with you, and I know this audience loves you as well. So, don't forget to leave a comment for the amazing Justin down below. Let him know how much you love him. I know you guys did last time. Thank you for that, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all those other wonderful things. But as we send off in the truest sense, just to actually give an answer, because I think you said it so eloquently. I do genuinely believe that our ability to find connection, alignments, and genuine synchronicities with those who we truly resonate with in this life is what it's all about. We can do that from any standpoint in this world. We can go surfing, we can go hiking, we can go to work, we can go to a corporate retreat, we can build a business together with somebody, we can spend time at the gym with somebody. The point is, though, fam, is to find that wherever you are and to genuinely seek that authenticity and stop living an inauthentic life. That's plagiarism, right? We don't allow that in the written sphere because we're trying to live like someone else or like the movies told us to, but definitely live your authenticity. If you find happiness in whatever it is, then you follow that. That will be the road to your happiness, as many individuals before have definitely summarized it. But the idea that your road to bliss is found with fulfilling within. So that's my cup of tea in that sense. But Justin, of course, let people know also, is there a new launch coming up that we might want to let everyone know about? Is there excitement there?
There is, there is. It
All
just
right.
got announced today. We got the second subsection of Chapter 1, Shadow Threads. This drop will be called Veil of Darkness. It releases February 23rd at 12 p.m. PST, that's Pacific Standard Time. It'll just be 3 items, so something small, just to get me set up for the final subsection, which that's where I'm planning on having more items. But
Okay.
I'm ready to finally finish off winter season and start out spring, summer collections coming up.
Yep.
But yeah, from there it'll be 3 months of Japanese mythology, and then after that 3 months of Greek and Roman mythology. So
Okay.
very excited to see where it's gonna go. But yeah, that's about it. February 23rd at 12 p.m. PST.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We'll have all the links down below for you, fam, to be able to support and bring on the summer. Looking forward to that. So definitely looking forward to summer brands. So Justin, pleasure is always, good sir. Thank you again for being an amazing guest, and thank you to this amazing family and everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.